Trump has taken over DC, sort of. Trump and Putin are set to meet in Alaska to discuss Russia-Ukraine war. Andrew Cuomo fires shots at socialist New York mayoral candidate Mamdani. Elon and Sam Altman prove you can be wealthy and still hella petty. And one-shot AI prompting is getting insane. The future is truly going to be different. Drew, DC is getting taken over. This really is like it's authoritarian to be sure. Like, this is Trump. He has these tendencies. He actually wants to take over everything. And if you let him, he will run your household. He will take over your state. Like, there's no doubt he has all of those impulses. I did my best to actually figure out what's going on with the crime statistics in DC to see if this is really warranted, because when you declare a crime emergency, there better be an actual crime emergency. I would say that's definitely not true. Like, there are cities that are more problematic than DC for sure. So this is very much, hey, it's my backyard, fair enough. It is the highest risk thing that I can put my hands on, sure. But in terms of it being a crime emergency, if we're going to say that, then there are a lot of places in the US that are crime emergencies. So, but the thing that I found really distressing as I started researching all of this is that we don't have good data. The FBI has changed their the method by which they track the crimes in 2021. And so some massive amount of the cities in America are basically like, we're not prepared to report in that either sophisticated or deep way that they're now requesting. So even places like Los Angeles are just like, I don't know, bro. Like, a lot of people are getting mugged, but who the fuck knows? So it is, it's very difficult. And so all of the pundits that are talking about this particular thing that are trying to use stats, like, they're all playing really fast and loose games. The second you try to pinpoint the data from multiple different angles, you get like all these wild answers. It seems like DC, when you take the size of city that it is, it's in 4th place. Not that that's not terrible. This is homicide. Not that it's not terrible. It is terrible. But again, it's declining. And so when you say in the face of it declining that there's a crime emergency, that all feels power grabby to me.
Yeah, this is the second time he deployed the National Guard to a U.S. city in the 7 months that he's been in office. I feel like that's a record right there in and of itself.
I wouldn't be surprised. Do we actually have a real answer for that?
I don't, but I just can't remember a sitting president deploying the National Guard to 2 cities in 6 months.
Yeah, probably not in our lifetimes.
Yeah, that's definitely one of those things. But in general, this is his announcement. This is from the Rapid Response page on Twitter when he announced that he's using the DC Home Rule Act, which allows him to control the federal municipalities as well as the police department for 30 days.
I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse. This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back. Under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States, I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is?
He's right about that, by the way. So even Muriel Bowser, the mayor of DC, is not putting up a fight from that perspective. He really does have the authority to do this. So the question becomes not can he do it, but the question is why is he doing it? To your point, he's deploying National Guard to Los Angeles, which, by the way, I was totally here for. I think that there's no doubt that there is a notion in Los Angeles, just to be very clear, California more at large, certainly a growing sentiment that crime is like a cry for help and that we need to like be more understanding. And my thing is, listen, it may be a cry for help, but that's not the way to cry for help. And you've got to have limits. You've got to put boundaries on things. And this is just like a kid will throw a tantrum because they're hungry, they're tired, but lashing out, grabbing a vase in the house, smashing it on the floor is not an acceptable way to make clear that you need a nap or that you want to eat or whatever. So this is where I think that there needs to be very clear boundaries. You cannot let a small group of people that have legitimate grievances terrorize everybody else. So to me, everything starts with you've got to make the place safe. And when you've got people burning cars and things in the streets, that's wild. Like, you should not accept that. And there was way too much like sort of minor condemnation on the behalf of Karen Bass, the mayor here, versus like rolling in and being like, we're absolutely not going to tolerate this. Same with Gavin Newsom. I think that they're way too weak in terms of like what it should feel like to live here. And as somebody that's lived in California for 30 plus years now, it's like I've watched it go from rough to good and back to rough, and it's worse. And so getting that stabilized, I think makes a lot of sense. But the question is, how far do we want to let the federal government go? And I would advise everybody, as you're thinking through this issue, assume that it's the team you don't like that's in power. And they're going to be like, well, they did it. So you might like Trump, you might like what he's doing. But if you don't like the president and you don't like what they're doing, where do you want those checks and balances to exist? And so that's what I would say people need to be pretty careful. If you can't see the authoritarian tendencies in Donald Trump, you're just not paying attention.
With Trump auditing the Smithsonian, how do we balance the history books is written by the winners? How do we balance that with talking about history in an honest way so that way we don't make the same results?
I think people have to fully understand that the odds that you get to the quote unquote truth are zero. We are not equipped to understand what is true.
Even in hindsight, you don't think we can reach the truth.
The vast majority of everything is perception. It's, you can say this thing happened, but what we're really talking about is what does the thing that happened mean? And so once you get into what does the thing that happened mean, now it's like all hell breaks loose. I mean, take what's going on with Trump right now. It's like people look at it and go, well, he's doing it because he's a fascist dictator wannabe. Is that true? It might be true, but it might also be entirely false. But people are going to battle at the level of what it means. And so when you're going back and looking in history and you understand that humans are meaning-making machines, we're looking for what does it mean? We're trying to make sense of the world by understanding a rustle in the bush means I'm about to get killed, or it means like that there's a food opportunity. Like, what does it mean? Okay, I teach entrepreneurship, Impact Theory University, sign up today. And one of the things that I'm always trying to get entrepreneurs to understand is momentum. So there's this concept in sailing called velocity made good. And it's this idea that the wind is going to blow the way the wind is going to blow. So call that energy. But you've got to get the energy pushing you in the direction you actually want to go in. It is the single hardest thing to do as an entrepreneur. And so people will often confuse speed for momentum. Momentum, you could say, is high utility speed. So it's a whole bunch of people, not just moving fast, but moving in a singular direction fast. That's like useful momentum. That's velocity made good. And to get your nation behind you, you need velocity made good. You need everybody to believe the same thing. The very reason America is in so much danger right now is that we are pulling against each other as hard as two halves can pull against each other. And so it stops us from getting any momentum. China does not have that problem. China is gaining momentum. And so you will lose to the nation that has more momentum than you. And because we have done a terrible job of controlling the narrative of what it means to be American, and we're focusing people on things that are destructive to cohesive national identity, even if they're true, if you tell your people a narrative that they then internalize, which is destructive to cohesive identity, your country will get overrun by countries that have cohesive identity, that believe in themselves, that think that they're right. Dude, people need to start reading what Xi Jinping is feeding his nation. I'm super jealous. It is, China is heaven mandated to rule the world. It's like, we are the best. We had a brutal 100 years of humiliation. It's never going to happen again, which, by the way, please everybody lock into your soul this idea of 100 years. When a country falls, it falls for 100 years, man. So we are on the precipice of falling, which is why I really want people to understand Argentina fell for 100 years. China fell for 100 years. Like when you go down hard. So be very careful about allowing yourself to fall. So anyway, we need a national narrative that is empowering, that brings us together, that doesn't pull us apart. And we're going to have to decide what that is. And right now, the narrative that's gaining steam on the left is that we are racist colonialists who have stolen the country, that they are illegitimate. And that notion, even if you manage to extract yourself out of that as you grow up and start looking at the physics of, say, economics, even if you extract yourself out of it, you're still in that frame of reference. Like you start telling yourself a story of, I'm overcoming that. So for instance, growing up, I had no sense that we were overcoming being the bad people. I had the sense that we, whatever that means, we had ended slavery. I didn't even know about the British doing it long before us. So I was eating a cocktail of we ended slavery, that I got to be a part of what Martin Luther King did, that it was like we've all come together, that we've built the greatest nation in the world, that we've used capitalism to pull people out of poverty. Like I didn't have to get over like we had done all these bad things. I was just fed a steady diet of America. Americans are amazing. We've done all this amazing stuff around the world. We're helping free people. We're bringing democracy. Now, look, a ton of that was a lie, but it was a really empowering, useful, let's say it was framed. It was very empowering, useful framing in terms of getting me to love my country, to love my fellow Americans, to like want to point in a useful, productive direction. We've lost that.
This reminds me of a story. It was Christmas Eve. We used to go to church every Christmas Eve, and then like 12 a.m. we would open our gifts. So I pile in the car, my older brother, older sister. I'm sitting in the middle, mom and dad in the front seat, and we're on our way. And I'm like, I'm so excited to get back and open my gifts. I can't wait to see what Santa bought down the tree. I'm so excited. I hope it's a this. I hope it's a that. And then my mom was like, there is no Santa. I bought all your gifts. And in that moment, I think I was in like
real cold.
Yeah, I think I was in like second or third grade. It was like, but. Then I look back at it and I'm like, okay, that showed me then, okay, my mom and dad work hard for me. I shouldn't this isn't just magic that there's gifts under these trees, that it takes effort, it takes sacrifice, all these things to give me these things. And that, although it wasn't the lie that a lot of other kids had, it still kind of turned me into it gave me perspective and an appreciation for them.
Yep.
Is there a sober way we can actually do that with America, or is it just we're at the level of the tooth fairy now? We just have to say, hey, America is good. There can't be any other narratives because of how fractal we are right now. Let's just all think we're good. We have no bad history. We're doing the best we can, and let's just go forward like that. Or can we be honest and say America had some bumps, but we overcame them, and then now look how more resilient we are, or look how hard we worked to get to this point. Like, is there some way where we can kind of have that truth and get a positive realization, or do you think we can't even handle that?
No, I think it needs to be as like fact accurate as humanly possible, because then the narrative is strong. So if your parents may not even be aware of, but I really hope they would never frame it like this. We know that our kid is going to have a ton of social pressure on them when they get to school to be like, what cool things did you get? And so, yes, we love them and we want to see them happy, but we also know that that dopamine rush is going to wear off. So we're probably going to give them a little bit more than we otherwise would, because we know that they're going to go back and tell their friends, well, I got all this dope shit. And we don't want them to be made fun of and teased. That's not going to be part that they tell you. It's going to be, we love you so much and we work so hard for you so you can have a better life. And this gives us a chance to like celebrate as a family, to celebrate Jesus. I don't know if that's what you did, but like, I know for a lot of people, that's it. And so it's like, that's a way better framing. And yes, they're leaving out some things that are true, but they're just not super useful. And even like when you're telling yourself the narrative, it's like, I'm just not going to emphasize my thinking around those things. They are true, but I'm not going to emphasize my thinking around those things. And they impact the way your brain wires and all that. Like, there are real consequences. Anyway, you want it to be as grounded in truth as possible. Your parents really do love you. They really do work hard for you. They really do want you to have a great life. They really do like to see you happy, and it makes them happy to see you happy. So it's like, that's the narrative that you want to tell for sure. And I think that America has to do exactly that. Like, we've got to find the things that are true. So for instance, you can look at Lincoln and you can say Lincoln was perfectly happy to win the Civil War without freeing the slaves. But he also died in order to free the slaves. So it's like, which one of those versions of this story do you tell? And you can certainly say, like, I would probably age gate this stuff. And I would say in the beginning, it's like America fought to free the slaves and we paid, blood, toil, tears, sacrifice, because it was so just absolutely abhorrent. Even though I'm not religious, I'm all for people giving like a religious spin on this, that all men are created equal, all humans are created equal in the eyes of the Lord. Like, that's just a great thing to internalize, that everybody's sacred. I love that. So all of that stuff, I think, is where you start. Now, as you get older and you're doing like a civics class, then it's like, hey, let me give you the reality that politics are complicated. And if you can't get your people behind you and you get voted out of office, you're not going to be able to make any change. So when you really start learning about how politics works, boys and girls, you're going to be a little bit grossed out because you're going to see everything is compromised. You're going to see that people are willing to give up on something that matters tremendously. The founding fathers were like, fuck, we're never, like there were founding fathers that were wildly opposed to slavery while having sex with their slaves. So it's like, the fuck? So all of that stuff is real. And at the same time, they actually did create a system that, as it played out, set people up psychologically to say, I'm willing to fight and die to end slavery. So it's like, but at the same time, they were also part of the reason that they did that. The average fighter wouldn't have been aware of this, but part of the reason that Lincoln did that was he understood that the European powers were trying to pull America apart so that we wouldn't be as economically strong. And he realized, oh, if I can, him being Lincoln, if I can make this a moral crusade, then we'll be able to make it so they'll only fund one side of it. It's absolutely brilliant strategic plan. But by the way, it plays into the fact that British ended the slave trade earlier than anybody, and that you could actually make that moral appeal. That's awesome. So it's like, okay, that's fantastic. And let's look at that people were willing to be like, oh, damn, like even though it's in my economic best interest to get Americans to pull apart, slavery really is that gross. So it's like, how do you tell that story? That's going to matter. So we need a narrative that is both true and uplifting.
Remember the historic burning of the library in Alexandria?
Yeah,
that's it, right? Do you ever wonder like what lost history might have been in there?
Oh, yes.
And there could have been things that like defeated the whole like narrative that we run with now and things like that. Like,
well, if nothing else, I look at that and I go, you look at some of the stuff around like the pyramids, some of the temples in Turkey, where it's like they moved stones in ways we wouldn't know how to move stones today. So it's like, it's wild. And so there are clearly things that have gotten lost. I do love like the panspermia of it all, or was there at least civilizations that were lost when the theory goes that there was like all this water, like an ocean's worth of water that was trapped up at a high elevation. And then finally the ice melted enough that in just like essentially one moment, that entire ocean flooded down. And as somebody grew up in Washington State, you see all the evidence of that water rushing through. So like, the thought that there really was like this cataclysmic flood that wiped out God knows what kind of ancient, so it's not like they were more technologically advanced than us, civilization. But that kind of stuff is dope. And I can only imagine what kind of wisdom would be lost in a fire like that. We'll get back to the show in just a moment, but first, let's talk about why you're feeling that you're being left behind. Every successful person you admire has read books you haven't gotten around to yet. They're referencing ideas you just don't know about, making connections you can't make yet. Shortform fixes this problem. They don't just summarize books, they create guides that teach you the ideas better than just reading the book itself. Deep analysis, cross connections between concepts, interactive exercises that make the knowledge actually stick. Beyond books, Shortform pulls insights from multiple sources and gives you master guides that synthesize different perspectives. And their browser extension instantly breaks down any political analysis, news article, or YouTube video. So stop feeling left behind. Go to shortform.com/impact for a free trial and catch up to where you should be. Again, that's shortform.com/impact. And now let's get back to the show.
While I'm okay with us giving America a shared narrative, I'm also hyper sober that America's narrative isn't, like, I don't have that full context of America's narrative. So by no means do I think I know the truth and they're hiding it. I just think that we need to kind of evolve out of look at what happened in 1960, 1776, and then those are the only three dates we need to talk about. But I think that we can learn the truth and be empowering. It doesn't necessarily have to be a condemnation on everybody's a racist, everybody's a homophobe, everybody's an Islamophobe, things like that.
What's going to be interesting for me is that in the era of massive volume and velocity of information, you're not going to have an option. Everybody's going to say what they think. Everybody's going to give their perspective. Everybody's going to pitch it as if their perspective is true. is the way that it's going to be. And then people are going to have to put together the narrative that they're going to push. And you're going to see this constant back and forth for people wanting to isolate their kids from a certain level of knowledge, that they don't want the government indoctrinating their kids because they want to do it themselves, which I do think is the right answer. But nonetheless, they're going to be indoctrinating their kids in their value system. I've said a gazillion times on the show that the next 10 years are going to be about a collision of values. It's going to play out in Europe first, and it is the world of Islam colliding with the world of Christianity. We are going to live through that. It is going to get wild, and it is a values collision. Let there be no mistake. People are going to confuse it for race. It is not about race. It is about values, but values matter. People will fight to the death over values. So buckle up, man. Like, it's going to happen. So in a world where no one gets to control the narrative anymore, what does that look like? And at what point do people go, no, I do want to control the narrative? Yeah. And so that's the thing that I worry about the most, because listen, I try to always know the best argument against my own arguments. And the best argument against my arguments economically is China. And China's done some absolutely miraculous stuff. And you can sum China up from a narrative control perspective as, bitch, sit down and shut up, or I will re-educate you all the way to death. So we're going to have to decide if we care, if narrative control has so much utility and non-controlled narrative is so dangerous and so divisive that we really do have to crush it down. We're going to answer that question. That one probably won't get answered in the next 10 years, but it's going to be answered in the next 20 or 30 years. That's for sure. So we'll see. And then it's always possible that AI just comes in and lies to us because it realizes, yeah, you guys can't fucking deal with the truth. So I'm just going to give you a nice simplified version.
Then where does like censorship and debanking and all these things fall from it? Because I was surprised. Again, I'm doing research, guys. I'm not just down this rabbit hole, but like, Nick is still debanked. He still can't get a PayPal account. He still can't get a major checking account. He's on X, but he's still banned from YouTube and all these other platforms. And it's like, if we are censoring, I don't know, I feel like on one hand we talk about how important free speech is, but then on the other hand we're saying, yeah, but
dude,
we got to lie a little bit, and we can't listen to these people because they're going to mess us, they're going to make us like not each other. But free speech is definitely important. And
so, I don't think people think free speech is important anymore. There is certainly a subset. I think it's important. Yeah. And I mean, I think it's important to the point where people should be able to say that they think I am totally wrong, that I should never be listened to, that I'm a bad person. Like, oh, yep, go for it. As long as they're not inciting violence, I'm totally here for the things that the Supreme Court has already passed. But free speech is allowing people to say things that you despise. I think Mamdani is going to irreparably damage America. I think the very people he's trying to help, he is going to hurt brutally. He should still be allowed to say what he thinks is true. So, I mean, he should still be allowed to lie, quite frankly. So he should be allowed to say anything that the Supreme Court has not already drawn a red line around. Yep. And even though I think it is actually dangerous and it will actually hurt people, he should still be able to say it. So, but from the free speech perspective, like when you have John Kerry saying that people will put forward, they will use the First Amendment to stop our agenda to get people to do the right thing. And I was just like, what the fuck, man? I do not respect anybody who has that level of confidence in themselves that they're either they're so confident that they're right that they believe the whole world should listen to them. I don't have respect for that person. And then the person who is so fragile in their beliefs that they're like, I don't want to be challenged. I don't even do that as a CEO. So it's like, challenge me, go for it. Yeah, I am blind to things. I am aware of that. So yeah, both of those get a hard pass from me.
I want your reaction to this trailer. So in my research, they retweeted an AI generated Studio Ghibli style trailer for his show, and how he views himself is what gives me this like shared narrative. That's where I'm seeing the overlap, and I definitely want your reaction on this.
You just interviewed Nick Fuentes.
I did.
Or had a conversation with him. What did you think of that? What do you think of him?
This is the way they're putting this together.
My experience with Nick Fuentes is that he's a terrible person and a terrible human being.
But he is clearly part of a campaign to discredit non-crazy right voices.
I can confirm he's dishonest.
This child, this weird little gay kid in his basement in Chicago, young white men who've been totally cut out of our economy. I mean, they really are the victims, and they're desperate, and no one speaks for them. So they go to Fuentes because he's like incredibly articulate, and they think he's our leader. But in one of the saddest ironies of all, like, he's acting against your interests, actually.
This is wild.
But then when it comes to me, I'm one of the real disaffected white people. You want to talk about me and them? I am them. He says Nick Fuentes is leading all of the disaffected young white men. I am a disaffected young white man. I was a precocious, intelligent, young white college student who went to Boston University, who was pro-Trump and red-pilled by Trump and animated by Trump's message of America first. And I asked questions about Israel.
I really hope you guys are watching your screen.
And I was punished for it. I did it years before Tucker Carlson started talking about Israel last year. And I sacrificed, and I was targeted by the ADL, by the SPLC.
He's not wrong about that. Like, this kid was like on the enemies list of, was it Brennan? He was on somebody's enemies list, and I was like, damn.
On the do not fly list. Again, he's 26 and he already got his account frozen. He's on a watch list. Like,
yeah, he would have been like in his early 20s. So all that stuff is super rough. And this kid is obviously being put through a fire that is going to harden him. So be careful. But for somebody of my age, like, every word out of his mouth like hits me like a tin ear. It's just, it's so focused on race. I really hate it. So look, is he disaffected? Yes. Has he been gone after? Yes. Does he say outrageous shit? Yes. Does he say things that I would expect people to attack him for? Yes. Do I think it is legitimately sinister that the government will secretly maneuver against you? Yes. Do I think it is sinister that you can be debanked? Yes. Like, both are true. Like, hey, look, if you get in front of a mic and you say some shit, then you can expect people to clap back. Brutus Lugo, I'm looking at you. And it's like, yeah, if that bothers you, you're going to have to back off. But when they come at you and they're debanking you and they're like making it hard for you to live, that is sinister, man. And so, like, it's hard enough to be whatever he was, 21, 22, full stop. Just to be 21 or 22 is hard. And then on top of that, to like make it so that you can't like earn a living, to make you so that you can't have a bank account. Like, look, he's going to say things that are going to make him a social pariah. That's on him. But like, let the guy like at least still be playing the same game. You can't nerf him unfairly. Like, that to me is like way out of pocket. So I think we as a nation need to really get on board with, you've got to let people have bad ideas. You've got to let people express those bad ideas, and you can't take infrastructure away from them.
Do you think he should be, I hate the word platformed, but do you think that is like because I feel like out of cancel culture, he's one of like the 3 people that are still canceled type thing, where a lot of people are like, yeah, okay, we cancel them, but we soft launched them back.
The whole platforming thing, I don't really get. So I think the hardest question anybody can answer is, would you platform Adolf Hitler? God, what's my short answer? Would I actually interview? I wouldn't interview Adolf Hitler, but I would feel like I was being unprincipled. And so it's just me being like, I don't want to sit down across from him. I don't want that smoke. I don't think that I'm good enough to change his mind. But like, if somebody had him on, would I watch the shit out of the interview? Yes. And would I want the most gangster, savage mind in the world to like go up against this guy? Yes. So I don't have a beef with platforming, but I get why people are like, with the whole Nelk boys, like that whole thing was like, were you guys the ones to interview Bibi Netanyahu? Probably not, but whatever, man. Like, let him talk. When people talk, they cannot help but expose themselves. Even if I know that he's just spinning all the time, I still want to see it. I still want to see the ideas be challenged. So to have this like blanket, don't talk to somebody policy is probably a bad idea. But to want like the most gangster of gangster people to go up against, like even just from an intellectual blood sport perspective, let's go. Trump doing, or world leaders. I don't mean it specifically as Trump, but like your president going up, televise that shit. Let me see it. Yeah, I'm all for that. So do or don't platform somebody feels like the wrong sort of moralizing.
All right. Elon has been going through it because XAI is not getting any Apple Store love. He tweeted, Apple is behaving in a manner that makes it impossible for any AI company besides OpenAI to reach number one in the Apple Store, which is unequivocally antitrust violation. XAI will take immediate legal action. He then got community noted that DeepSeek hit number one in January, Perplexity hit number one in July, and both of those things happened before the OpenAI Apple partnership. Sam Altman retweeted, "This is a remarkable claim, given what I heard alleged that Elon does to manipulate X, benefit himself and his own companies, and harms his competitors and people he doesn't like." After this, it just kind of spins into like tit for tat pettiness.
Oh no, you got to read the one where he calls him a liar. He's like, "You're dumb bullshit. You're a liar." Scroll back up.
Elon, you got 3 million. You got 3 million in your bullshit post, you liar. Far more than I received on many of mine, despite me having 50 times your follower account. Will you sign an affidavit that you have never directed changes to the X algorithm in a way that hurt your competitors or helped your own companies? I will apologize if so.
Oh man, I hate that I love this as much as I love
Still waiting for a
this.
response from Elon on that one.
Yeah. Good luck. I didn't see that reply. What do you mean? Yeah, look, this is, we live in this world. The most public, the most successful people in the world are just talking online, like all the time. And they cannot help but say some shit that I think the rest of us are like, God damn, that was not the one to tweet. But hey, it is what it is. It is fascinating. I have to say, even though the death of narrative control has consequences, I prefer this world. I am not a big fan of elites being able to control the narrative, which literally all of human history they were able to do until social media. Social media is a double-edged sword. There are definitely downsides. But yeah, I like it. I want to see more people. I want to see the things the weird shit they get mired in that ends up like bringing them down. Yeah. It's interesting, like really deciding that I was going to step in front of a camera. I sometimes, because I grew up in the old era where you could really cultivate a persona and you could put the persona out there, and I've like completely just traded that. Like I could have just been the guy, like sells a company for $1 billion. Oh my God, like there were years, man, before like social really like sped up its steam. And in phase one, as I call it, of my YouTube career, I was giving people a persona. It was real. Like you were encountering a real part of my personality, but it was a very narrow slice of my personality. And oh man, people come up to me at airports, give me hugs. Oh man, you changed my life. Thank you so much. What you've done is so incredible. Like praise. Now it is a very different story. So, but it's far more interesting to me. It's far more interesting, one, because it forces me to figure out what I actually think, which is very interesting. And then two, because I'm so into like research and mapping cause and effect and all of that. And like, it does make me feel a bit like a warrior, like fighting for the soul of America. I fucking like that. Like I'm here for that.
You've been saying that a lot.
It's self-propaganda, but I love it. It really makes me feel engaged. And the thing is, because it's born of something real, the deeper I go into the economics, I'm like, oh my God, like all these guys screaming, like Mamdani is screaming about real things. Hassan is screaming about real things. They have the wrong solution, but Gary's economics, they're screaming about a real thing. Like there's a real problem. So anyway, I think through being able to talk through all these problems, no one being able to silence people, that we actually can get to a place where we can move forward well. It's going to be very messy. But anyway, I find that far more interesting than all the controlled narratives and all the controlled personas. It's like, yeah, put people on. We're about to see, because more and more people, Mr. Beast just did it. He's going to start live streaming. How often? I don't know. But more and more people, I'm telling you, live streaming is the future. More and more people are going to do it. And people are really going to be like, yo, if we get to see you, I mean, you get to see me speak extemporaneously 6 hours a week. I'm trying to get it to 9 hours a week. Bro, like that's a real thing. Like if you are talking about like the hottest button issues, 6, 9, take someone like Hassan, Jesus, I can't imagine, or Destiny, or Asmongold. I mean, these guys are on like 5 to 7 days a week, like 6 to 8 hours a day. It's insanity. So we're about to find out a whole group of people what they actually think. Yeah.
Going back to another Elon tweet, he talked about video games with Grok Imagine now making videos come to real life. Some people have kind of combined that with the vibe coding to kind of imagine what these 3D worlds would look like. And he tweeted, video games will be dynamically generated by Grok in the future.
This is so crazy.
Yeah, and then you retweeted it that like you wanted to kind of see what the people thought. So how do you see this like happening? And especially as a game developer, it's kind of like you're trying to build a house, but under you, the ground is literally like transforming into something else. So like,
yeah, it's wild. So imagine that you've spent years building that house. You've gone through all the permitting, all that stuff. Like, oh my God, this has been hard, expensive, but you're building something beautiful. Hopefully, unlike anything anyone's ever seen. Like, oh my God, this is going to be incredible. And you also are watching a technologist who's like building this magical device that can print a house in an afternoon that is way bigger and more complex than the house that you've spent years building. And you look at it and you go, okay, like if it's gonna be that cool, I can use it as well. So it's not like they're the only studio that has this. This is gonna be accessible to anybody that, pays whatever the fee is. So you're like, okay, like I won't have to spend years. Like I can build more and more houses. I don't have to be like as all eggs in one basket as I am. You feel some kind of way about the fact that whatever you've spent is like in some number of years, like looking at where this actually becomes a game that you would play and want to play, you're 5 to 7 years away for sure. Like, because just making something where you can walk around and bump into things appropriately is not the same as having a game. If it was, we'd already be done. We would have been done a year ago. So it's all the things that you do to like make the dopamine loops, make it fun, give people goals, all that stuff. That's going to be way harder for them to get AI to be able to do in a modular way, such that you could go in and say, okay, I want to do this, but not this, and do this, and emphasize here, and a little louder on this sound effect here, which shocking things like that make a very big difference. And so like from that perspective, I've still got 5 to 7 years, maybe a little bit more, we'll see. So the real thing for me is as a player, or even as a creator, because like, why do I want to tell stories? There is something, I'm a hyper responder to story. So The Matrix, it means something to me. Like it's become a part of my mental scaffolding. The characters, if I see an image from The Matrix, like it really makes me feel something. There are stories from my childhood, they make me feel something. And I think that's gonna go away because games will be so fast. There'll be a Tinder effect where it's like you get bored 4 minutes into a game, you're like, who cares?
Swipe left.
It doesn't cost me anything. I'm just swipe left. I'm on to the next. And so just like that's had a pathological effect on relationships because there is no like, I've got to look past some of her flaws. I've got to work with her on some things. Our friend groups get together and there's like real connective tissue to like a marriage like Lisa and I, where it's like, man, there's so much, like I have incredible memories of members of her family. So forget the transformational force that she's been in my life. Her brother is arguably my best friend in the world. So it's like, you've got that and then her mom and her mom's wife, like they're my favorite people. So it's like all this echo of a stable relationship that you ride with through the years gives you all these other things. And so when you invest in a game, like I played Destiny for years. I've played Fortnite now for like a year. And so you like really get into it and you have memories, all that is gonna go away.
Let's go to Zoran Mamdani, who started the hashtag release the Cuomo list. And I'm not gonna lie, I think he's winning this election race because this was a good video.
Bro, Polymarket's got him like 80 or 90%.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't think it's gonna work in New York. I don't agree with his policy for that region. But this video is bars.
He's gonna get elected.
Yeah, this video is bars.
4 years ago, Andrew Cuomo resigned in disgrace. And you probably know why.
The governor's office kept the nursing home death data secret.
Cuomo aggressively groped an aide.
Inappropriately touched a female state trooper.
Use of state resources for a COVID-19 memoir.
Less well known is what he spent the last 4 years doing, besides getting trounced in the Democratic primary. In 2022, Cuomo started Innovation Strategies LLC to represent individuals and corporations in a variety of matters. Definitely not vague. Last year, it raked in more than $500,000. Who paid for Cuomo's services? He refuses to say. But what journalists have been able to piece together is troubling. In April, Bloomberg revealed that Cuomo advised a cryptocurrency exchange based in the Seychelles as it faced federal investigations. Then in May, Politico reported that Cuomo failed to disclose $2.6 million in stock options to the New York City Conflicts of Interest Board. His excuse? The stocks were technically owned by Innovation Strategies LLC, of which he's the sole proprietor. Finally, in June, the New York Times uncovered that Cuomo had worked with his longtime friend Andrew Farkas on a luxury marina project in Puerto Rico. Farkas' previous partner on luxury marinas in the Caribbean, Jeffrey Epstein.
We had a finance chair like none other, Andrew Farkas.
That's the thing about Andrew Cuomo. Once you think you found out about all of his scandals, you find out about another, and then another, and then probably another. But if my friend, the disgraced former governor of the state of New York, feels that's unfair, Habibi, release your client list.
Yeah.
Bars.
Yeah. There's a reason that he's at 80+% on
New York
Polymarket.
about to be socialist.
Literally, New York about to be socialist.
Eric Adams can't compete with that. Andrew Cuomo can't compete with that.
What's the story on Eric Adams? I don't know anything about him.
There's nothing to know about him.
But why? What does he suck at?
He was a meme, and then it became like real. Like he just says ridiculous things. Like he was supposed to be like I'm the no nonsense. Like he was giving like uncle energy. Like I'm gonna show you how it is. And back in my day, we used to do things like this. And then between COVID and the Trump candidacy, and then now he has like ties to some illegal stuff he's been doing. He kind of lost the grip. Like,
whoops.
It became a meme, and then it became serious. Which is why with Mamdani, it's interesting because I see him going in the same way where he's be carrying this character of like, oh, burn, you got Cuomo. Oh yeah, it's gonna be cool. But when the scandals start rolling in, or when things start to get a little dicey, would that cool videos aren't gonna lower your rent? So when that comes out.
Yeah, well, it does seem like we have to touch the hot stove like every couple generations to find out that, oh yeah, these things don't work in reality. They really sound good. But the bad news is, man, you are always going to encounter the truth of how humans are, and humans just don't get down like this.
What are the odds if he gets elected of it snowballing into moving into other places versus we immediately see, oh, this is bad, and then we stop?
Ooh, you won't see this is bad and then we stop, because everybody's going to be like, well, you got to carry it out longer and all that stuff. So it'll be like, it'll be a softening of impact. You'll lose some billionaires. Tax revenue will go down. You'll squeeze a little bit harder. You realize you're going to have to like up taxes to pay for things. And so people will be like, wait, this all sounds rad, but I don't know that it's working out. He'll get his however many years in office, and then people won't be definitively yes one way or the other. That's a problem. Like, it'll just start a backlash that will grow where people are like, okay, look, these things aren't working, but then that has to work its way into the popular sentiment. So it'll first have to basically the next generation has to grow up going, these things didn't work the way that we thought they would. But people say that de Blasio was very similar, that he was doing things like this that didn't work. And so people do recognize pretty fast, like, okay, wait a second, this is terrible. But they don't update their mental map as to exactly why it's terrible. And so you'll get a lot of, okay, it was a Mamdani problem, but it wasn't like necessarily socialist policy problems. This is how people can look at socialism in real life and be like, well, but if you did it for real, like that's wild. Like there was a guy who was saying like, what, the first 4 years in China or Russia, I forget which one he was talking about, like that was dope. And then, well, yeah, after that, like it went terrible. But for the first 4 years, it was great. It's like, what is happening right now? It's like, that's where those systems lead.
And another question is, can Mamdani actually usher in those changes? Won't he just be a mayor? What power do they actually have?
Yeah, so on that, I wouldn't even be able to map out exactly all the things that he can do. I can tell you he can't adjust the tax rate, so he's not going to be the guy in charge of that. So where exactly he will exert his power, I'm not entirely sure, but it will be things like freezing rents and stuff like that. That would make the billionaire class go, ooh, hold on a second. So it doesn't take a lot. Remember, when you've got 50% of people effectively pay no tax whatsoever, and then the top 10% pay, someone got like 85% or whatever it is. I mean, it's really, really high. So you don't have to lose a lot of billionaires before it has like a 3 to 5% effect on the amount of tax revenue that you collect. And now all of a sudden it's like, like you've just lost billions of dollars in revenue. So it just ends up being a harder balancing game than people expect. And I think in their pockets, they're thinking like, we'll be either, this is New York, no one's ever going to leave. Billionaires have already started leaving New York. So that's a terrible strategy. And then you get the, we can do like punitive confiscatory tax as they try to exit. And that you're going to get real pushback on that. Like if you really want to see people start fleeing, like even start hinting that you would do something like that. So yeah, that it will be very interesting, and it's probably a worthwhile, not deep dive to release, but deep dive to learn about like what exactly can mayors do? What have they done historically? What was the role of the mayor in the absolute catastrophe the last time rent control was placed in New York? Because what they did to the Bronx was literally unforgivable. And so if that was driven by the mayors and city councils, like, you know what to expect. I mean, it was literally a war zone that inspired the movie Escape from New York. So
Andrew Cuomo has been clapping back at Mamdani about his $2,300 one-bedroom apartment in Astoria that is rent controlled.
Yeah, this is fun. I don't think it's as strong as what Mamdani did, but it's good.
Well, I don't, because he makes more money. He shouldn't be in this apartment. Like, what's the...
This is the same beef that people have with Hassan. Hassan lives in like a $2 million house or more. And so people are like, wait, you're a socialist, but you're rich. Like, help me make sense of that. Mamdani comes from a wealthy background. Mm-hmm. So he himself, I think people were estimating that he makes a couple $100,000 with him and his wife. Is he married?
I think so.
So people are saying, look, no matter how you slice it or dice it, this kid comes from money. He has money. And so the thought of him LARPing as like a man of the people is a bit crazy. And he has bragged about having a rent controlled apartment when he could afford a real apartment. So that means that there's somebody who can't afford an apartment that isn't getting the apartment because the supposed socialist is taking one of their slots. So bro, either you're a man of the people or you're not. And the post that Cuomo did, I think, got millions of views. I don't know if I can't see it there.
No, but this one is only $598. This is just a response to the $2,300 for the one bedroom.
Got it. So that is where Mamdani is going to be weak. He's Uganda is that's where he's from, if I remember correctly. Has like terrible. This is like the home of Idi Amin. Just an absolute bloodbath of human rights problems. Went to a wedding there that was like in this really posh, protected area. So people are like, hold on a second. This kid's like going to weddings in a foreign country. He's wealthy over there. His parents have money and influence. Like, this is wild that this kid is LARPing as a man of the people. So we'll see how far that goes.
But do you think that's a valid argument though? That because Andrew Cuomo's rich, like capitalists can be rich.
100%.
Why can't socialists be rich?
Because if what you're fighting for is something that's going to break those economics, like what are you doing? You are doing well in a system that you're actively trying to break. That doesn't make any sense. A capitalist is saying, yes, the system is good. I have won in the system. And so you should learn how to win in the system.
But doesn't that give it more credence though? If I am winning in the capitalist system, I'm like, we should still break it because it's not winning. That should give that person more credence because they have every incentive not to break it. He has every incentive to stay in his $2,300 apartment and then become a landlord to somebody else.
It comes down to how you feel about Trump saying, me using all these tax loopholes makes me smart. So if Mamdani's going to stand 10 toes down and be like, listen, as long as this is a system, I'm going to win. I'm going to take your rent controlled apartment, and you person that actually needs it, fuck you. Like, I knew how to outmaneuver you. I got in here. You didn't. Tough titties. Like, if he's going to play that card and if people are going to be like, yeah, like get as much as you can, bro. I'll be a little surprised. People came after Hassan hard when it came out, like how much his house was worth. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that's going to be the energy. Now, I think when people who agree with Mamdani see that, they are not going to have a hard time overcoming that. They're going to be like, this is my guy. He's saying the things that I want said. He's promising to smash the system with a hammer for the same reason that people will overlook Trump is a billionaire saying that he's fighting for the working man. Like, when you're saying the thing that people want to hear, when you're the fighter for me, like, I'm going to overlook a whole lot of stuff. So yeah, I think that they will overlook that, no problem. But it is a banger. It's Cuomo at least clapping back on something that they will care about. So he'll get a new cycle out of it. I just don't think it's going to sway the election. We'll be back to the show in a second, but right now I want to talk to you about how investment apps can actually destroy your wealth. If they're using gamification techniques to get you to make poor decisions, you are in a bad place. turning push notifications for hot picks, giving you streaks for daily trading. These apps are designed like slot machines, keeping you addicted to trading instead of actually building wealth. That's why I'm excited about Alio Capital. Alio's built for independent thinkers who want to invest with discipline, not emotion, which is the only way to invest. Their Altitude AI focuses on what actually matters: inflation shifts, interest rate changes, global risk. It adapts your portfolio based on real economic forces, not market hype. Stop gambling with your future. Start investing with intention. Download the Alio app in the App Store or Google Play, or text TOM to 511-511. Investing involves risks, including potential loss of principal. Past performance does not guarantee results. See terms and conditions. Text fees may apply. This is a paid advertisement. And now, let's get back to the show.
Let's go international, because Friday is a big meeting between Trump and Putin. They will have it in Alaska, which has historic precedent, because for those that don't know, we bought Alaska from Russia. I want to say it was $77.2 million because they were going bankrupt. Look at inflation. So it seems like this is something that is both historical credence. Trump is trying all he can to kind of woo Putin. Do you have high expectations that we're going to get a ceasefire?
Not at all. Nope.
0%.
I mean, not 0%. I'm not close enough to it. It's entirely possible that there really is something going on behind the scenes. But the two things that I will put on the table. Number one, Putin has said a gazillion times, yeah, let's negotiate. All the while, he's like, nope. Like,
bomb.
Correct. He has an agenda, and he's playing that agenda out. Zelensky is up against a constitution that says you can't give the land. So he's in a position where it's like, even if the people voted for it, they would presumably have to have some sort of super majority, which I would assume they do not have, because this is one part of the country that supposedly has more affiliation with Russia than the rest. Mm-hmm. But if the rest are bigger and they can outvote them and stop them from getting whatever majority they need to get to change the constitution, it's like, if we were trying to negotiate with a country and it required a constitutional amendment for us to like get that across the board, it's never going to happen, especially not with a guy that is shown over and over. Like, he's going to make you think that he's doing something, but in reality, he's got a totally different game that he's playing, and he's just going to keep playing that. Realpolitik is the only thing that makes sense with Putin. Unless Putin thinks he is going to lose, he's going to keep pushing forward. He has not met the sufficient resistance to make him quit. I just don't see it. So he can continue to hammer his people down. Some part of him clearly believes that he's going to be able to win this war. So you have to convince him you're not going to win. Like, you have to convince him, not say the rhetoric. Mm-hmm. You have to actually convince him, where he's looking at the chessboard and he's like, all right, what do I got left? I've got a tactical nuke. I could drop that, but okay, that's going to create problems. I've got like my proper nukes. Okay, that's really going to cause problems. I can like draft more people into the military. I can consume more billionaires and spend more money on the war effort. But like, is it really getting me somewhere? The secondary sanctions are really starting to suck. Like, if he looks at that and he's like, oh, damn, I've got people openly rioting in the streets. I can only kill so many of them. And it's like, I killed a bunch and they're still rioting. Once he runs that calculus and he's like, okay, look, I'm not going to win. Then it's like, all right, let's negotiate. And as long as he's got a narrative that he can go to his people and be like, this was a victory, because he's got to think about staying in power. I mean, play that out.
Yeah.
If he's in a position where if I back off, I'm going to get ousted out of power, he's just going to keep going. Better to lose in office than to like just be like, okay, and like, no, I'm going to get either exiled or, oh, my airplane blew up midair. What a shame. So he's going to be running that calculus that even if he's not willing to do the nukes and all that stuff, he's not going to relinquish power. There's going to have to be a coup or something like that. So I would say buckle up for the long term. I think he's probably far more interested in outlasting Trump, because he's thinking, if I'm him, I only have to get him to the midterms.
And then his own country is going to eat him up. And
at a minimum, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Like, I got to string this guy along for like another, 18 months? Easy peasy.
A Chinese Coast Guard boat was chasing a Philippine Coast Guard vessel and then ended up smashing. This was kind of nuts. Like, that just got too close for comfort. And then bang, there it is.
Yep.
Like, did you not see the other boat? Because that boat looks big to me. I feel like I would see that other boat coming.
Yeah. I mean, maybe not on the phone, but I certainly think that the guy driving the boat would. Okay, so this is why the big boats are the Chinese boats, I am assuming, just to make sure I get all this right. But that's certainly in keeping with what I would expect. People need to read what Xi Jinping is doing. According to reports, I obviously don't speak Chinese. I'm getting this information secondhand. However, Xi Jinping has started saying that these are private Politburo communications, but we're going to start being dismissive to America. Now, if they're being dismissive to America, you can imagine how they're being to Filipinos. It's like, bitch, this is our sea. We are Southeast Asia. You will do as you're told. If we tell you to back down, you will back down on principle. And the culturally, the Chinese have like a really just deeply entrenched idea of hierarchy. And the person who's lower on the hierarchy needs to show deference to the people higher. So this is that. Like, if I told you to move and you didn't move, I'm going to hit you with my boat. Simple as. If you're not supposed to be here, I'm going to run you over, shoot you, do whatever. Like, don't play. These are our seas. They're being more and more aggressive. And China, in their mind, I believe, is going to have hegemonic control over Southeast Asia to begin, but just Asia full stop in the near-ish future, called the next 25 years. Like for them, it's just like, yeah, this is going to be it. And then on a long enough timeline, they see themselves as stepping into the hegemonic position globally that the US has had. And they see that as a mandate from heaven. So it's like, don't be surprised by this. They will escalate. Only be surprised that you see the footage. Because, yeah, you're going to see more and more of this.
Does this have any indicator about what they're going to do with Taiwan?
1,000%. If they believe that Taiwan is rightfully China, that it needs to be reintegrated, that they have an economic interest in getting control of the chips, or that they believe it's necessary for AI, they will 100% when they believe that the time is right. And I'm not the guy to tell you yet. I'm doing more and more research on this, but I'm not the guy yet to tell you whether that's going to be in a month or 10 years. But for sure, Xi Jinping has made it abundantly clear we are going to reunify with Taiwan. Taiwan is strategically important. We will never back down. It is one China. So, I mean, he has not been unclear. Like, he's been messaging the same thing since he came into power. I think he was messaging, certainly the government was messaging the same thing before Xi Jinping came into power. Like, this is a long-standing thing. So that's not going to go anywhere. Do they feel that they have what they need to move on it now? It doesn't seem like it. But they are getting more and more aggressive. And so the question becomes, do they get what they need from TSMC via negotiations with the US? If they do, great, then they'll back off. And I've got to imagine that's part of Trump's negotiations in terms of why he's giving them access to better stuff. It's like better to give them the release valve than to see them make a move on Taiwan, which would be worse for everybody. One, it would force us into a confrontation to establish our authority, and from the perspective of we have not migrated enough of the chip manufacturing capabilities to the US. So I get why he would give them a release valve, but it's only going to make them more powerful, which is only going to march them further down the road. So tries to weaken them with tariffs, tries to make their economy less stable. That, I think, is he's going to have to do that. But the biggest, most important thing, so that nobody takes their eye off the ball, you've got to onshore critical manufacturing, period. Simple as, like, that's the game.
Possibility of a hot war. Do you think the Taiwan takeover and those things will happen first before us in the US, us and China collide at all?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah,
like
okay.
That's
going to be the jumping off point.
It could be. Listen, it will depend on where are they economically, where are we economically, like what do we have in reserves? Right now, they outproduce ships at like 20-1. I mean, it is some outrageous number. So it might even be more than that. We are way behind the 8 ball. They know that. They're having their own economic difficulties right now. We know that. So right now, like nobody's ready to make a move. Both of us are racing towards Thucydides' trap. They're trying to get as strong as fast as they can. We're trying to get as strong as fast as we can. They're starting to bully their neighbors. We're bullying our neighbors. Like everybody's trying to line up their allies. So they're doing shit like that in Southeast Asia. We're going to Europe and slapping them around and giving them a bunch of tariffs. We're telling Canada they're about to become the 51st state. We're telling Mexico, I can't believe we haven't talked about this. We're going to fucking, hey, you got cartels coming across the border. We got to chase them into your country. It is what it is. Now, I don't know that we've said that we would cross the border, but talking about border skirmishes, you know how Mexico is going to feel about that. They're going to feel some kind of way. So both of these two superpowers are like, listen, bitch, we're the big bad motherfucker around here. We are economically, we are militarily, and everybody's going to start acting like it. This is this moment in history. This is Thucydides' trap. Man, so much of history is predictable. And the really sad thing is it's predictable because of the way that humans are. The human mind works in a knowable way. It's complicated, and of course it will be messy, and you're only ever going to be directionally correct. But these things repeat in this never-ending tragic cycle. And because I can't get myself out of it, I legitimately, I am not interested in accepting second place, and I couldn't talk myself into doing it even if I were. Like I'm just like, that is so anathema to the way I feel about myself, the way I feel about my country, what I know that it would be like for us economically, my just absolute pathological inability to let people hold dominion over me. This is another reason that I pursued entrepreneurship. I'm a freak when it comes to being told what to do. So yeah, you're going to get a whole lot of that energy from both countries. And because of that, we're just racing towards like this tragic meeting point. And the only hope that we have of avoiding it is AI. It's either holding status quo, which China, I'm sure, would consider a tragedy, or AI comes and is like, hey, everybody, don't worry, like free stuff for everybody. And then we'll find out how much people still care about being number one. They might still care. That's the weird part.
Allegedly, because I don't see AI doing it. All right, let's jump over to Minnesota, where the Vikings, go Vikes, we taking it this year. Vikes will be in the playoffs. Anybody want to do some sports betting in the chat? You can follow me. I got it. I'll put anything up on that. They do have a new male dancer, and this is getting people feeling the type of way. What was your initial read when you heard about this?
It seems like really a misread on your audience. So I'm looking at it as a marketer going, I literally couldn't care less. Guys in cheerleading is dope. Like they're fucking powerful. They throw people like super high. It's awesome. Like when you see collegiate cheerleading, there is no sport that has more injuries that end in death or paralysis than cheerleading.
It's crazy.
So cheerleading is like hardcore, man. When it's done well, it is hardcore. So it's like traditionally, the cheerleaders on the football field like this has been eye candy for the guys that are the primary watchers of football. So I'm just like, give your audience what they want. This is like, as a game developer, because I'm aimed at kids, we don't do like super sexualized women. But like if I were making games for adults, I give big titties everywhere. It's like, that's for whatever reason, like guys, they love that. Great. Like give your fan base what they want. But this just seems like a misread of fan base. So I don't know if this is like, whoa, Taylor Swift was such a phenomenon. Let's like give women like a, forgive me, because he could be the straightest man alive, but he looks gay as hell.
Yeah.
So it's like, let's give him a gay guy like doing his like cheerlead thing. Maybe they're into, I don't know. But wow, does this feel like a misread of your audience? I think that Minnesota Viking fans, like actual, I'm in the stands, even when it's snowing fans, are going to be like, this is dumb.
I'm all for meritocracy. And if he can twerk, then he should be on the cheerleading squad with all the other twerkers.
But now is part of the meritocracy the Calipigian ass? Like, do we need like that nice full, because he does not have a nice ass from where I'm sitting.
Amen.
I'm not a fan.
If he can 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 with the rest of them, if he can get his splits and his squats, then he's the man for a job. And you know what? I'm tired of these DEI people coming in and telling people that it has to be a woman or it has to be big boobs or big butt, and that's inappropriate.
All right.
If he's the best man for the job, meritocracy. If anything, this is just bulletin board behavior for the other football team. Oh, they got a gay guy cheerleading. That means you got to throw the ball hard. Like, This what are we really talking about? This is not a big thing.
To me, this is like this is just marketing. And if your fan base loves it, do more of it. Like if they had an entire squad of twink cheerleaders because that's what puts butts in seats, I'm here for it. But if it doesn't, that's where I'm just like, what are we doing? This gets so strange. This is when people have what I call invisible goals. So if your invisible goal is to outrage people, okay, this works for that. If your invisible goal is diversity, okay, this works for that. If your invisible goal is positivity towards the gay community, again, if he is gay, this works for that. But if your goal is put butts in seats, this is weird.
I mean, Minnesota's the same place that birthed Prince, you know, and Prince has been famously sexually ambiguous. So, you know, maybe that's just they're going to that market.
Yeah. Like I said, if this works, when I say, dude, if people want me to have beef with gay people, I have got absolutely no beef. So I am just talking as a marketer. Like, does this get your fan base amped up? If it does, do more. If it doesn't, do less. Prince got his fan base amped up, but Prince is not exactly going to appeal to Danzig's audience. And so I'm saying this football, NFL strikes me more as a Danzig play. And all of a sudden we've got Prince energy on the cheerleading field and I'm confused. So we'll see.
It would be hilarious if he was straight this whole time and he's just cleaning up in that cheerleading locker room and he's just fucking
that
everybody.
Would be amazing.
That would be the biggest plot twist.
Yeah, no, I'm here for that.
All right, let's see how problematic we can get. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going.
Take us into the dark places.
Okay, so Royce Lopez, who I'm going to call a troll. I don't know you personally, bro, but your response to the comments seemed trollific.
So if you're not looking at your phone, this is okay. Should I tell people what it looks like you're looking at, or what they're actually looking at?
What they're actually looking at, and I'll leave the...
Okay, what you're actually looking at is a young man with cerebral palsy who identifies as a woman who had top surgery, and he's very excited about it.
Wait, wouldn't it be the other way? I thought you take the titties out.
Yeah, that's what he had.
Trans male who...
Yeah, sorry if I said that the wrong way. This is a woman who had her breasts removed and is very excited about it. Yeah. So it's a trans man.
Trans male who has he, him pronouns.
Yes. So born female, had breasts removed, and has cerebral palsy, and is very excited to show off. Okay. That's what you're actually seeing. That's not how the poster presents it, and that's not how most of the people in the comments reacted, just for maximum clarity.
And then the person who presented it said, every single person who encourages, from family members, friends, and the doctor who performed the sex change surgery on the severely mentally retarded person should spend their entire life underneath the jail. And that's because we only do the death penalty for murder. Is there a line between gender identity and mental capacity? Like, should we only do trans surgeries for people who can sign the waiver form? Like, is there some type of safeguard that should be in place there? Or as
18
if they ask
plus,
for it?
You are of efficient or an appropriate level of intellectual capability. Now, it is my understanding that people with cerebral palsy, while they have a very hard time controlling their motor skills, as you're seeing here, that they are cognitively there. He is cognitively capable and of age. So, like, do your thing. Mm-hmm. No beef whatsoever. If somebody was actually mentally retarded, that to me is like crazy town.
That
you cannot let them. No way. Hard pass. That is sinister. You can have physical complications, be living with pain forever for something that you don't understand. That is somebody puppeteering you. If you do not have an intellect that meets a certain threshold, you are not able to think through these things clearly. You're not able to predict like future outcomes clearly enough. And so the odds of them being bamboozled, like there are people that have plenty of cognitive horsepower that end up wishing they hadn't transitioned because of things like, certainly with bottom surgeries, it can be so complicated and there can be discomfort that goes on forever. So it's like, these are very difficult things to think through. And so again, if somebody's got the cognitive horsepower, great. And as far as I know, regardless of cerebral palsy, you are able to think normally, regardless of motor function control. So this one, yeah, cool. If that's what they wanted to do, Does not strike me as the best idea, but if that's what they want to do, they should be allowed to do it.
Well, some people want to let minors transition as well.
That's madness.
And that's my next thing. So this is why I'm nervous about this argument, because if it becomes a cognitive thing, then we take age away and they say, well, if it's a bright 14-year-old, then they should be able to. So
let's say
a
you
14
have to
that scores
dual,
100, then you know what I mean?
Dual age and I do think that makes sense, age and intellect. And by all means, make the number low. I'm not trying to trap people that I just think, oh, this guy's an idiot. That's not what I'm trying to go for. I'm saying there's legitimate realities to be faced about cognitive ability. I wish there was not, but there are. And you pick some threshold. I should not be the one to set that policy. I'm merely giving you my answer. If you're asking what I would vote for, that's what I would vote for. People need to make their own decisions, and we will take. I'm perfectly willing to live in a world where it's like everybody gets to vote and it's like whatever we decide, even if I think it's idiotic, and I will scream from the rooftops that I think it's idiotic, but I'm not going to burn things to the ground. I'm not going to try to storm the Capitol. I'm going to be like, listen, I get it. This is the world that we live in. I don't get to control everybody's thinking, and I shouldn't be able to control everybody's thinking, but I have no problem telling you where I'm at.
I feel like age has been like the great negator, and we're so used to it that I think that's an easy place to start. I'm just glad we're not having an argument about 7 and 8 year olds transitioning no more, and at least
that was wild.
Yeah, now we're at least getting a little bit more nuanced with it.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah. All right.
So, all right, everybody, there it is. Thank you as always for joining us. It was wonderful to have you today. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and we will see you on Friday, 6 a.m. Pacific time. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. And until next time, my friends, be legendary. Take care. Peace. If you like this conversation, check out this episode to learn more. Trump sends nuclear subs towards Russia, and Trump tells Putin to end the war or face secondary sanctions. Senator Warren goes on record as not understanding the economy at all. Ray Dalio says he could see us returning to a gold standard.